What's going on, guys? My name's Chris Warrens, and since 2017, I've been a full-time luxury watch dealer passionate about helping you navigate the world of high-end timepieces. Alongside that, I run a few other ventures: consulting, writing, speaking, real estate, and I have a nonprofit in veteran services, which is pretty cool. But on this channel, it's all about watches, your go-to place for education, insights, and building a community of enthusiasts like yourself who share the same passion. If you find any value in this content, we'd love for you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, especially since 98% of you watching haven't done so yet. With that being said, let's get into today's show. Okay, Rolex announced their price increase for 2025 recently, and we're going to address the elephant in the room today. It's something a little different today. We're not doing a watch review. We're going to focus on reviewing Rolex price increases for 2025 only. Kind of pick apart the models, submodels, if you will, and the price increases that you're going to see to come. It might come as a surprise to many of you watching here today, or it might not, but Rolex indeed has increased their prices. And on some models, which we'll get into, up to 19%. Which is kind of through the roof if you ask me. Other models only climbed up by about 1%, which is pretty cool. So what's the difference in prices, price increase, and why? The very limited increase is done on the steel sports models for the most part, outside of an exception or two. And the big price increases are done on the two-tone in full gold models, bringing their new MSRP up pretty significantly. Simply put, the price increases are dependent on the material to build the watch. But let's take a deeper look as to why and unpack each model with their increase for this year. Here's a couple of facts to start. Last year in 2024, Rolex hiked their prices by about 4%. And every year there is a price increase for the most part, sometimes two. Now, we have the price list for Rolex watches for 2025. And before we get into the details of each collection, there are some clear patterns. Basically, it really depends on the material, as I was saying, used in each watch, whether we're talking about stainless steel, gold, platinum, or titanium in some cases. In short, stainless steel models are hardly impacted. Really, it's negligible. Some under 1% price increase, which is like $100. And their prices are pretty stable. Most are on average about that, give or take, other than the Daytona, which should come from no surprise when it comes to the stainless steel variations. So stainless steel, less than 1% to 1.5%. Which is, like I said, about $100, which really isn't too bad. Platinum watches are also hardly impacted. Their prices are up by about 1%, which is surprising because platinum used to be a very expensive commodity and metal. A situation that's easily explained by the stability of platinum as the commodity and the price of the market. The situation is fairly different with two-tone and solid gold watches, which are impacted by rather impressive increases in price on average. We're talking about, and I'm being general, okay? I'm being general. We're talking about 8% to about 19%, on average about 14%, okay? Once again, with the exception of the Daytona. The Daytona is on the higher end of that increase. This situation can easily be explained by the rise in price of gold on the market, which is up 27% last year. So the price of gold has rose 27% last year. So now we're being charged more by Rolex to produce gold Rolexes. And it's not just Rolex. We're just using Rolex as an example here. Let us now take a look at the detailed 2025 Rolex price list and break it down per collection. And we're just going to start with the ever so popular Daytona because it's the Daytona. See, a price increase that's far more impressive than the rest of the watches produced by Rolex. It's the only collection that's so much more impacted by the rise of these prices. The steel 126-500LN black or white is only up by about $400, which generally feels acceptable. However, The gold models are up by a staggering 18.9%, which is on average about $6,000 to $8,000 more than last year, which is quite a lot. All right. Now remember, guys, I'm giving generalities on price increases and averages. If I say 6,000, it could be 6,200, but just giving a general figure. Now let's talk about the Submariners. Sub date, sub no date, whether date or no date with black or green bezel, all are impacted by a minimal price increase of $100, give or take. A marginal increase of about 1% to their price compared to 2024. The situation starts to become different with two-tone versions. They're impacted by about $1,500 difference because of the gold. While gold models, whether white or yellow gold, are about 11% year to year, about $4,600 more for the yellow gold. Moving into the GMT-Master II, all steel models like the Batman, the Pepsi, the Bruce Wayne, the Sprite, the price increase between last year and this year is minimal because they're sports models. It's about $100, which is pretty acceptable. Two-tone models, particularly made of gold, are impacted by a strong increase in price. And solid gold editions, yellow gold, Everrose, white gold, Pepsi in particular, all go up in price about 11% or about $4,500 depending on the model. The Sea Dweller, the Deep Sea, and the Deep Sea Challenge, we're going to talk about that family of watches now. The Sea Dweller is in a line with overall trend of minimal changes in the steel models that we're talking about and a rather impressive rise for the two-tone edition. The same can be said for the Deep Sea, with two steel models only seeing prices go up about 0.7%. You can round up and say 1%. While the recent solid yellow gold version is up about 11.5%, with the Deep Sea Challenge by 5%. When it comes to the Explorer and the Explorer 2, all stainless steel watches, all sizes in this lineup, the price increase is limited to about $100 to $150. The only exception to this rule is the reference 124273, the two-tone edition Explorer, which is impacted by the rise of price of gold and demand of gold globally, of course, with an increase of about 8.5%. Moving into the Yacht-Master family, the two-tone models, the steel watches, the platinum bezel, they're not too heavily impacted this year. While all gold variations, which are worn on Oyster Flex bracelets, are up on average about 11% in the line with the rest of the brand's portfolio, basically. One exception is the Yacht-Master Titanium, which sees a price by about 5%, which is in line with the Deep Sea Challenge as well. The Air King and Sky Dweller, talking about them both, the Air King line is about a 1% increase because they're steel. The Sky Dweller line, slightly more increase on average, about 3% for stainless models, given their fluted bezels are white gold, right? So we have to factor in the price because the bezel is white gold. For solid gold models, whether on Oyster Flex or gold bracelet, the prices are up by about 11%, like all other Rolex models this year. When it comes to the date justs, listen, guys, there's about 300 references on the date justs, something like that. I'm keeping it really general on the date justs, okay? But we're going to kind of pick it apart a little bit. Taking into account all possible materials, diameters, dial colors, bezel styles, bracelet types, no surprise concerning the price increase, very minimal on the full steel models with smooth bezel, about 1 to 1.5%. Bit more significant on watches with a fluted bezel because of the white gold, about 3.5%. Two-tone watches are also impacted by the rise in price by about 7.5%, generally put for the date just family. Now, when we move into the day dates, the 36 and the 40s, a wide collection of watches exclusively available in precious metals. We can see strong disparities between gold and platinum watches. These platinum models are hardly impacted by the pricing differences, with less than about 1%, which is on par with platinum for Rolex this year. Gold watches, on the other hand, are up by about 11%, or about $4,000, showing the impact of gold price and the markets. So moving into the Oyster Perpetual 28 through 41s, price increase is limited to about $100 to $150 or 1% on the steel. Last but not least, the 1908, the Perpetual 1908. There's couple different variations. The platinum is hardly impacted by about 1%, while the gold models are up by about 11% or $3,000, whether for yellow or white gold models. So what do I, now that we've been through everything, what do I think the best sellers are going to be for 2025? I see two. Okay. Number one, always is going to be the case, is going to be all sports models. All stainless steel sports models. Just a huge demand. Always will be, always have been. The good news is they're only affected by about 1%. The other biggest seller is going to be Daytona on Oyster Flex. This is my peg, okay? Daytona on Oyster Flex has become very fashionable as of late. So be cognizant that the Daytona has a higher increase in price, especially when it comes to the gold models, even if on Oyster Flex. So if you want a Daytona on Oyster Flex and you want to save a little bit of coin, get it on the secondary market or be okay with the increase in price on MSRP. All right, so let's close this out. All right, let's close it out. That's basically that's basically what's going on with Rolex for 2025. And, if you're interested in picking up one of these models, we've got a whole bunch in stock. We can get anything that you want, if not in stock. If you want to learn more about working with us to get your hands on timepieces, check out the links in the description below. Also, quick note, we're adding this in here. Since I'm a veteran myself, we are proud to work with veterans, and we do work with a lot of them. And we want to offer special pricing as a token of gratitude for your service. So if you decide you want to work with us and you're a veteran, drop us a line in the show links below. You can find the link, mention you're a veteran, and we got you. All right. Before I go, I'd love to hear your feedback. What did you think of this review? What do you think about the price increase? Let me know in the comments. I always enjoy hearing from you and respond to everyone, no matter your perspective. And if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us understand what you like to produce more of, and in turn, it helps the channel grow by being able to give you value and making content for you. So thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.